I don't even know what to say. There's just something about the WWE Hall of Fame. It gets me every year. It it doesn't make me feel sad, and it doesn't really make me feel happy. It just makes me feel something. Something really strong, something not everyone can understand. And I don't think anyone outside of the context of our little wrestling community could understand this. I don't think that the young kids, the 8 to 10-year-olds running around with their John Cena, Batista, or Randy Orton shirts, I don't think they could understand this either. But you grow up watching certain guys, certain guys that are so passionate for their line of work, certain guys that are so good at what they do, and you grow so attached to certain these guys that you see on television every year. And then just seeing the Hall of Fame, seeing their careers like culminate. Ric Flair, wow. I mean, he couldn't even be the Nature Boy. He couldn't be Ric Flair when he was on the stage because he was so emotional. He was just so caught up in the moment. He wanted to end with a little promo hyping WrestleMania, and he couldn't because it all meant so much to him. I can tell he felt so much regret for not being able to see his kids. And obviously for some of the poor choices that he may have made during his days with the Four Horsemen partying, but just seeing that all culminate in a Hall of Fame induction, it's so surreal for someone who has been watching this stuff for like half my life, like I have. It really speaks to the kid from 13th Street. And I'm not talking about my other YouTube name. I'm talking about little 11-year-old Benjamin who was an NWO freak. And what does that become? Nearly 22-year-old Benjamin, the NWO freak. And The Rock's little promo, little segue into inducting his father. It just proves to me that it's not like the fact that the superstars of this era don't appeal to me as much as the guys from the Attitude Era do. I realize that it's not me just getting older and becoming more harsh of a critic. There's something that those guys have, like The Rock, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like Mick Foley, and even in context, guys like Triple H and The Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, when given, free reign to be all that they can be, which they can't be in the current WWE zeitgeist. There's just something to it that isn't there in wrestling. But the Hall of Fame ceremony proves that, wrestling, it is slowly getting worse and worse every year. And it's really unfortunate, but it's true. It's getting worse and worse every year. But the Hall of Fame ceremony, it always reminds me of how great the past was. And no matter how much WWE deteriorates or becomes an entertainment product and forgets about the wrestling, or becomes a little kid's show and forgets about the fucking lifelong fans like myself, it just reminds me of why I've been a fan for these 11 years or so. It's just something that they cannot take away. But I don't mean to completely shit on the WWE of 2008, because fucking WrestleMania is tomorrow. It's 11:24 p.m. right now, Central Time, as I'm recording this. And as I said in my last video, I wasn't that excited. You know how there's a lot of football fans that watch the Super Bowl, but there's also a lot of non-football fans that watch the Super Bowl too, and it's not because of the actual game, it's because of the aura, the experience, the feel, you know? There's something about the Super Bowl that you just have to watch because there's going to be moments that can only happen there, like the halftime show, the commercials, the aesthetic, the setup. That's the same thing with WrestleMania. I mean, there's a lot of people that could barely watch WWE at all throughout the course of the year, but they'll order WrestleMania. Why? Because it's WrestleMania, you know? That's the time of year that things happen. And I was on Skype last night, and there was like a whole bunch of YouTube shooters there. There's like MB, Truth Slayer, Moral Virus, Jericho, ECW Hardcore, Instant Classic, Kelvin 8 Hobbs, just fucking like anyone who's everyone who's anyone on YouTube was fucking there. All right, and I think it was MB who asked me if I was excited for WrestleMania, and I basically said that I wasn't. And I said it's because it just doesn't feel like WrestleMania to me. And and I mean, I said that the card wasn't that great. And I mean, the guys, they went on to like name some of the matches on the card that are going to be great, and they're right, really. They're absolutely right. There are a lot of good matches on the card, but I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling like it's WrestleMania, you know? There's a certain aura to it that really makes the matches on the card not quite, but almost irrelevant, you know? And I just simply didn't feel it. But after watching the Hall of Fame ceremony, after just seeing, you know, after being reminded of why exactly it is that I've just devoted so much time and money and all that into following the WWE or WCW, TNA even, just after being reminded of why it is that I sit here on YouTube and, you know, talk about this like anyone gives a fuck, you know? Just after, and just seeing all those old stars that I watched when I was growing up, when I was just, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old, and like, you know, looking up to and wanting to be just like them back when I actually did put people on pedestals above myself. All of a sudden, I feel that now. I feel I'm in the WrestleMania mood, and I can't wait for fucking tomorrow. And I think I have band practice tomorrow. I might miss the live showing of WrestleMania, which is unfortunate. But either way, now I can't wait to see it. One thing negative I have to say about the Hall of Fame though, and I don't mean to end this video on a bad note, but what the fuck was up with people booing John Cena? And you know, that might sound weird coming from me, but I want to make things perfectly clear. John Cena, the character, I think he's cartoonish. I think we get too much of him. I think he's just, you know, too directed at little kids. I just don't feel him at all. You know, I don't like him. But John Cena, the man, I have the utmost respect for, because his passion and dedication to the business is just very respectable. He's like the Triple H of this generation. Not to say that Triple H is past his prime by any means. And by the way, I'm hardcore pulling for Triple H tomorrow, by the way. Or fucking probably today by the time anyone watches this. But fucking that wasn't John Cena, the fucking doctor of thugonomics on stage. That was the fucking man, John Cena. And that was totally out of line for the fans to be booing him at a time like that. It's just, I mean, people can do whatever they want, but that was just totally out of line in my opinion. Otherwise, it was just, I really enjoyed watching the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's just, every year I go through this phase, and I just wanted to record it right now just so I know, and I can look back on it. So next year I can come back to my video and see that there's just some things that never change. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.